Hi, my name is Keri Barnum. I am the Executive Director of New Shelves Books, and I am here for Free Advice Friday, the hour every Friday where we get together to talk about book marketing, publishing, anything having to do with authorship. We do join live at newshelves.com/FAF. You're welcome to join us. It is absolutely free. Or, of course, you can watch the replays on Mondays at youtube.com/newshelvesbooks. So you can watch it multiple ways. You can send in questions in advance to info@newshelves.com, or you can ask questions live. We've got a bit of both today, some live questions as well as some emailed questions. So we're going to jump right in. The first question I had was from Pam, and we didn't get to actually get to it last week, and so she emailed it to me. And the question was about pricings and discounts if you know that your target is not the retail market. If you know that you're not really trying to get into physical bookstores or gift shops, if you're going to be selling mostly to libraries, to schools, and online, what kind of discount do you need? Is it still as important to have that full trade discount? And the answer is, happily, you actually have more wiggle room. When you're dealing with libraries or you're dealing with schools, they are not typically in the business of resale for profit. So when we're talking about a retail discount or what we call a trade discount, we need the end wholesaler to be able to offer the retailer a 40% discount. And that's because a local bookstore, like my local bookstore, Liftbridge, needs to be able to purchase that product and make a profit on the resale so that they can keep themselves in business. But when we're talking about libraries or schools, they're not going to resell that product. They are going to either immediately put it on the shelf and get it out into circulation, or they're going to use it for schools. So while it does help to have a discount, and I do encourage you to offer them a discount, especially bulk discount for schools, it's not as important to have that full retail discount. So typically, if you have ever been published by like a university press or something along those lines, it's very common that what they offer for a discount is a 10% discount through wholesalers, which, keep in mind, if you're doing print on demand, you have to set it higher, knowing that Ingram will take their cut. But 10% is typically what University Press does for schools and libraries. And then if you order direct from them at bulk, many of them will offer a 30% discount. I'm not saying that's exactly what you should do, but that's kind of what libraries and schools are used to. I do recommend that you still offer a discount. Usually I recommend that you go 15 to 25%, at least if you're trying to get into libraries, to help their budget stretch further, to give them that, that nod of, I acknowledge that you're buying my book, thank you. And then again, with bulk discounts, it's completely up to you. If they're buying direct from you, of course, you're going to make more on that sale. So you may be able to wiggle a little bit more on the discount, but bulk discounts, especially in quantities over 20, it's pretty common to have 30% to 40%. So you do have wiggle room. You do have options. You don't have to worry about that wholesale discount as much, but you do need to have a discount in place to kind of thank them for considering your book. So when you're looking at libraries and schools, that's what you would really want to consider. Also, if you have a book that's going into younger schools, grade schools, and you're doing events or signings, know that often they may not purchase a bunch of books in-house, or they'll purchase 10 books, but then that's it. They do often give the option for children to buy the books at the school. And again, a discount is very appropriate, even if it's $1 or $2. Giving an option of where it's a little bit cheaper than they can get it elsewhere is, again, just a nice thank you. It's a nice touch and a way to really hand sell books when you're doing events in schools or with schools. So again, you have wiggle room. The rules aren't quite as hard and fast when we're talking about that kind of sale versus a retail sale. And you have to decide what works best for you in your specific market. So Pam specifically was looking at Bible colleges and things like that. So you have to see what's trending in those types of books specifically to target the best. And we had another pricing question come in from Jan, and I'm going to pull that up because it was a two-part question, and I want to make sure that we get them both. All right, so Jan is saying with pricing that she went to the local Barnes and Noble and she did a price survey. Super smart. She did a price survey on books in her genre and the approximate trim size. And the number of pages didn't seem to matter when she was doing her survey. Pricing kind of seemed pretty set based on the genre, not the page number. And the medium price was about $16.99, which she can compete with on Amazon and Ingram. But when she checked more closely on the genre, which was in young adult, the price dropped. The medium price was $11 for a 500 to 700 page book. And even books by best-selling authors. And so she's wondering, how do I compete with that? How does that even work? So let's tackle that question first, Jan. When you are looking at pricing, keep in mind that when you're looking at medium pricing, it does matter not only your genre, but the age group. Pricing for nonfiction and children's works and, younger grade levels will be different than it is for adult nonfiction. So you do need to check not just in your overall overarching genre like fantasy, you need to check if it's young adult or if it's adult and make sure that you know which one you fall within. And as far as those bestsellers being priced actually lower, that doesn't surprise me. Here's why. Because those players are typically from really big publishing houses, and they're not printing on demand, which is higher in cost. They are doing a print run of 5, 10, even 20,000 copies of a book, and they're selling it that way. So they are paying a fraction for the printing of the book that you are. So they're able to be a little bit more aggressive with their pricing. They also are depending on the quantity that will be sold to make their money rather than, the fewer sales that the average author will get. So how do you compete? Do you even try? The thing with that is I would say bestsellers are great. It's good to look at those numbers, but sometimes you can't compete. You simply can't unless you're doing offset print and you've got a distribution warehouse and you've got money up front. Sometimes you simply cannot compete. When that happens, I find it best to put that specific book aside and find books that not only match your genre, but also match where you may be as an author. Someone who is coming out as an author, maybe a press that is maybe even a traditional press, but something that's not as huge as, let's say, Harry Potter. Harry Potter has made so much money that they're throwing money at it so they can bring those prices down. You simply can't compete, and it's best not to try. You also want to make sure that when you are looking at pricing, that you are not looking at a sale price. You need to look at the retail price, which is, again, I love that you went to Barnes and Noble, but sometimes even in Barnes and Noble, pull up your phone, look on Amazon and see what the retail price is and see if it matches, because sometimes you won't realize that there is a discount going on and that's why the book is priced like that. And so you're comparing yourself to that when really you shouldn't, because it's discounted. And simply know, sometimes you can't compete and you've got to get as close as possible, but look for the median overall. And I will say, middle grade, I find middle grade actually is harder than even young adult. Young adult tends to price similarly to adult books, but middle grade books can be really tricky because some middle grade books still have illustrations in them. They still have pictures, and yet you also have the text. So your pricing with pictures often goes up, just like a picture book. But then you're having to price low because it's a children's book and they're going to read it one time and be done unless they fall in love with it. And then they're going to read it 500 times until it falls apart. But you have this tricky spot with middle grade where you have to price lower and your profit will be lower. However, in middle grade and in children's books, let's say picture books, the benefit you have is that kids tend to fall in love with a character. So if they're falling in love with a character, as adults do as well, but kids, like I said, you read that book one night at story time for bedtime and you're done with it. So then for middle grade and picture books, what we often find is that series do really well because you're not selling one book, you're selling 10 books and they're reading through them in a month. Whereas if you're selling 10 books to an adult, the average adult is not going to read a book a day and be done in 10 days. The average adult is going to take a week or more to finish a book. And so 10 books is going to take them 10 weeks. It's going to be a much longer game if they stick on with it. So that's something to consider as well when you're pricing, is how does your audience devour books? Is it quickly? Is it slowly? And know that sometimes, again, it's back to quantity. Are you looking for the quantity, or do you know you've got one standalone and that's it? And sometimes that plays into your pricing as well. Same thing, if you have a series, is your series best off if you price your first book lower and your newest books higher? Because by that time you've got some loyalty going on, and these people are more likely to front the money for a book that they've already fallen in love for the characters with. So it's one of those things. Again, I wish there was this rule of middle grade is $12. That's just it. Young adult fantasy, it's $15, but it doesn't quite work like that. There are so many variables, and you do have to decide what works for you. You have to decide what you're willing to live with in terms of profit. And know that when you're dealing with wholesale, it's very common when you're dealing with print on demand wholesale that you're only going to make $1 to $2 per book sold. So I talked to someone yesterday that when we broke it down, I was like, wow, you're going to make $2 per book on this book. And that's actually fantastic. And he looked at me and he goes, just $2? I was like, $2 is great. $2 is doing really good. And I had to talk him off that ledge, because when you're looking at all of the work you put into it, sometimes you think $2, that's it, $2. But again, it's on the quantity, and that is how the book industry kind of runs, is based on quantity. All right. And then we had a follow-up question. All right. If retailers are the only ones who can look at the Ingram online catalog, can individuals order your book from Ingram? No, they cannot. The only people who can order from the Ingram wholesale side, those people are retailers. There are people with wholesale accounts. There are people who have to go through a vetting process. Some publishers will submit and get approved, some will not. Distributors get approved, things like that. But you have to have a wholesale account. So the average person will not have access to Ingram wholesale. Now, could they purchase the book and the sales show up in Ingram or Ingramspark? Absolutely. If you're using Ingramspark for your book distribution, that sale may show up on Barnes and Noble. In Barnes and Noble, let's say, a friend buys your book at Barnes and Noble, that sale is going to show up in your Ingramspark dashboard. If your friend buys a book from IndieBound or Bookshop.org, those are going to show up in your dashboard. So that's kind of the things that you think about when you're looking at where your sales are coming from. But the answer to your straight question was, can the average person order from Ingram? The answer is no, they cannot. All right. Oops. All right, another question I had come in this week was about ebook distribution when you're going wide, and what makes sense and what doesn't make sense as far as uploading your book. So this is kind of above the, typically when we talk about your ebook distribution, we go pretty broad. We go with the easiest option because that's where most people start. When you're uploading your ebook, you either go to KDP and you do Kindle Select, which means your ebook is exclusive through Amazon, or you go wide. And what we mean by wide is that you are going to a wide array of retailers, such as Barnes & Noble for Nook, Kobo, iBooks, all of these things. And very often I will suggest that if you are going to do that, that you upload your ebook to KDP, and then you upload your ebook to Draft to Digital for wide distribution. It's one spot, you track your sales in one spot, easy peasy, done. And a question I got though was, what about uploading your book to individual retailers? So that is a good point. If you feel very confident and you're willing to go to a couple more places and have a more accounts to keep track of, if you're in that place in your authorship journey, then yes, you absolutely can take your ebook, go to KDP and upload for Amazon. Go to Barnes and Noble, create an account and upload your ebook for Barnes and Noble. Then you go to Kobo, create an account and upload your book for Kobo, and you go to iBooks and Google Play, and you can get your books up that way. And even still with that, you can do that and then go to Draft to Digital to hit all of the smaller markets that you aren't uploading to and just use it for that. Now what's the benefit? That's what people usually ask is, all right, but what's the benefit? Why would I do that and have more accounts? If you are looking, if your book is wide and you really think that you want to promote your book outside of Amazon, keeping in mind, there are some books, especially books that sell well outside of the US, or if you are outside of the US, there are books in countries that prefer to buy outside of Amazon. So the benefit is if you upload your book directly to Nook or Barnes and Noble, you can apply for promotions and promoting opportunities directly to Barnes and Noble, just like you do for KDP for Amazon. If you do Kobo, you can apply for Kobo deals where they discount your book and do promotions for you. I believe there's one for iBooks as well. So there are more marketing opportunities if you're wide and you have the bandwidth to upload to different places and keep track of that. There are marketing opportunities if you upload to individual retailers, at least the big ones, rather than going all through Draft to Digital. So then the question comes up, number one, do you have the bandwidth to do that? To keep track of it? Because I know some of us get overwhelmed, and that's fine. If you just want to go the easiest route, Draft to Digital is it. But if you have the bandwidth, and if you really want to market your book hard outside of Amazon because it sells well outside of Amazon, or you think it would sell well outside of Amazon, then absolutely, you upload and you see what happens, you send it out. And I often will look at, if you're wondering if your book might sell well outside of Amazon, I would go to your Amazon royalties for your ebook, and I would check how many sales you get outside of the US. Because again, outside of the US tends to purchase books outside of Amazon more often. In the US, a lot of our ebooks come directly from Amazon. So that's one of the things that I kind of look at to see if it's worth it. And then you give it a go. If you've got the bandwidth, go for it. Give it a try. If you love promotions and things like that, let us know how it goes. There are things on Barnes and Noble where they will feature books, they will do interviews sometimes, they will do different things for different authors if they're in their dashboard specifically. So yes, that is an option. It's not the best option for everyone, but it is more marketing opportunity if you've really got the punch in there to do it and go for it. And that is also how you get into Google Play. So Draft to Digital currently does not distribute through to Google Play. So that's a way to do that. And Sarah is asking, how can I find out about a thrift store book reselling my book at a very high price? Sarah, can you tell me either in the questions box or in the chat, is this thrift books online like through Amazon, or is this an actual physical store reselling your book? If it's online, that very commonly happens. They essentially purchase your book from Ingramspark because they are a wholesaler. So they'll purchase your book from Ingramspark and they will resell it. And they have a suggested retail price that you set, but they can price that book whatever they want to. They can discount it to $5 if they want to and take a hit, just like Amazon can, or they can price it super high, but who's going to buy it? Your retail price has to be set across the board, and it's the suggested retail price. But retailers can sell things for whatever they wish. And now they're not going to sell very many if they sell a paperback book that typically sells for $17 for $77. But they can list it for that. And so that's what we see very often. Same thing in store. You may be selling your book on Amazon and through Barnes and Noble at $17, but there's a local store that's selling it for $25. That's their prerogative. Your price is a suggested retail. Most people will go with that suggested retail, but sometimes they don't. And Same thing, they can sell it lower, they can do a discount. Your retail price has to be standard across the board, but they have wiggle room as the retailer. Just like in the grocery store, they can do a discount on grapes if they want to. Absolutely, they can, and it's going there. Yeah, online it's selling for $570, which is ridiculous, right? You're going, no one's going to buy that. Why would they do that? Sometimes it's just a listing to say, hey, can it sell for that much? Sometimes it's a typo. Maybe they meant to put $57. Maybe they meant to put a used book up for $5.70. Who knows? They're crazy. No one's going to buy it. Just know that the average person is not going to see that. Really, the way that the Amazon buy box works is that KDP typically takes first spot. So KDP, if your book's uploaded directly, that KDP listing and price is what the average person will see first. And then there are other options to buy new and used, and it's there. If you are through, let's say, like Ingramspark, or you're uploaded to Ingramspark and it's going to Amazon or something like that, then there's a buy button that people buy, which means they essentially bid on having that buy button so their book is top and can get sold. However, if it's listed that high, no one's going to buy it. And the average consumer is going to realize something's wrong. That's not the place you're going to buy it from. It's not something the average consumer is going, oh my gosh, Sarah's trying to price gouge me. What a jerk. That doesn't typically, that's not usually what people think. So that is kind of what it is. They don't really sell. I don't know why they do it. I don't know if they're like hoping they get lucky and this is an out of print book that's famous or something. People are crazy. We cannot always understand what they do, but no, the average consumer is not going to be upset by it. And that seller is not technically doing anything wrong or illegal. They are within their perfect legal rights to resell a book at a higher price if they wish. They just probably won't be very successful. See. Whoops, my screen just did something funky. All right, discount on price promotions, or a question on price promotions. I love that, David. Yes, people are weird. And they're all their own kind of weird, and you can't try to control it, and certainly we can't understand it all. Just is. Price promotions. I have had quite a few people recently say price promotions work great for me. I market one of my books or my first book, and it increases all of my sales. And how often should I do them? So here's the thing. There is this train of thought of putting a first book in series perma-free, which means it's always free. It's your lead-in book, it's your loss leader, and that's fine. But you also, even though it's up for free, you have to market it, or if you are doing discount promotions to bring in readers or reviews, you still have to market it, right? So how often do you market that free or that discount book? Many people will say every 3 months or so. A lot of the discount newsletters will contact you 3 months after you do a promo and say, hey, it's been 3 months. Can we promote Blood in the Bluegrass again, or things like that? 3 months for me is about the least amount of time that I would do. 3 to 6 months is more of what I would be aiming for. What you don't want to do is you don't want to market your book for discount or free so much that you devalue it. If your book is usually $6.99 and you're doing a 99-cent promo every 90 days, guess what happens? People start to wait for a discount before they purchase because you have devalued your book. So if you have, let's say, a nonfiction book that is on a specific topic, I would stick to once a year. Stick it to once a year, and that's when you promo it. And if that is maybe it's a financial book, every January, get your finances right. Here's our big discount of the year. Great. Let it stay at that. If you have fiction books, you have a little bit more wiggle room, especially if you are promoting the first book in a series, because again, that's our loss leader. We're going to promote that first book in the series at a discount and then hope to get the read through. but you don't want to do it so often that when you put it out in these newsletters, it's going out to the same people over and over and over again every month, every 2 months, and they start to think you're a little bit desperate. We want to make sure that when you're doing that discount promotion, when you're putting it out on Facebook or on TikTok or whatever it is, that it feels like a deal. Because if it's no longer a deal, what's the rush? What's the hurry? It'll be discounted again. I don't have to worry about it. We don't want people to feel like that. So again, if you are doing this for a book, I would do it no more than every 3 months, preferably closer to every 6 months. And know that if you have multiple books or multiple series, switch it up. If you did a discount promo 3 months ago on, one series, do a discount promo on the next series, kind of spice it up a little bit so that you can be marketing all of your books and getting some lead through. There are people who say differently. There are people who say market your discount book all the time, and more power to them. If it works, I think that's great. But again, I've seen that value proposition, and that's what we're seeing more and more from the big publishing companies as well. Big publishing companies, I have heard from inside sources, I have heard that some of the big publishers are pulling back from some of their discount promos and book clubs and things like that because they don't want to train their audience or their author's audience to wait for a discount book. If they know that once your book has been out for a year, it's going to discount, then what happens is people start waiting for that year mark to get that discount. And so some of the big publishers and big players, we'll say, have supposedly kind of started to pull back on that and do less discount promotions because they don't want to train people to wait for that discount. They want people to buy the book at full price. So there's something to that, I think. And I don't think that we should never discount or promote our book that way, but I think we do have to be careful about how often we do it so that it stays something that's got some drive behind it. Cheryl is asking, should a new author establish a new author persona on Goodreads? Meaning I've done a lot of reviews and ratings as a consumer/reader, but should that be kept separate? I want to be visibly supportive of other authors. Here's the thing, when you create a Goodreads account, you have to have a main account and then you create a author account off of that. And typically I would say connect them, no problem. Now, if you have been reviewing books for a really long time and you're harsh, if you really don't hold back on those reviews, you may want to go and make an account just specifically for you as an author and maybe use an alias for your other reviews. I have seen people who are really harsh reviewers on Goodreads. Great, we need some of that sometimes, but if you are rating books regularly at 2s and things like that, it's probably not going to look great for you as an author. So you may want to sweep that under the rug, use a different name, and then start a new persona. But if you are overall fairly kind, you have great things to say, then absolutely connect it. Depends on how you have I hate to say conducted yourself, but it depends on what you've been doing on Goodreads. And just know that people do pick up on that. So if you are on Goodreads trashing people's books left and right, and then you're wondering why you're getting bad reviews, it's because it's like, hey, Cheryl's being a jerk, so let's all go buy her book or not buy her book. We're not going to give her a sale. Let's all just go rate it on Goodreads and say it's awful. So we don't want to do that. And let's also step above that. Let's not be kids on the playground, but that is one of the things that you might run into. Always, I always say, well, especially I don't really review books anymore because I work with too many authors and working in the industry. I can't on Amazon. I'm actually too connected and I get blocked quite a bit. But in general, I do not review books anymore because of that industry connection. But before that happened, I was a huge reader. I used to actually read upwards of 200 books in a year. It was pretty common for me to read anywhere from 200 to 300 books in a year. And I reviewed a lot of books. And if I couldn't review it a 3 or higher, I just didn't review it because I couldn't be that mean, and I couldn't leave a positive review for a book that I really didn't like, or, had problems. There were a couple times, actually, I was that person who reached out to the author and was like, I found some proofing things. Do you want my notes? And sometimes I got very kind responses, and sometimes I got not kind responses. But yeah, if you can't leave a 3 at minimum, 4 or higher as an author, best to just skip it. Yeah, if you can't say something nice, kids, don't say anything at all, or say it to them privately if it's a friend or someone that you support and you want to make sure that you're supporting them in that way. Hey, I found a bunch of proofing errors. Do you want my notes? Let me see. Yes, Caroline is saying she has memory of KDP reaching out, offering a BookBub-like deal, but specific for Amazon. Yes. So Amazon has several deals that you can submit your books to. I think right now in the new dashboard, you can submit for them and put your books in quarterly for an optioning. And sometimes if your books are just selling well, they'll reach out to you and offer it. And that is a Kindle daily deal where they drop the price down only on Amazon for a day, and they do a Kindle daily deal. And oftentimes they drop that price down to $1.99 or $2.99. They may also offer you Prime reading, and Prime reading means that anyone in Amazon Prime can read that book for free. And the author doesn't make any money on that. Amazon promotes it to their Prime readership, but the author makes no money. That's really important to realize. And so often the question is it worth it? Well, I have several friends and clients who have been in Prime reading, and they all say if it's a standalone book, no, it was not worth it. Sometimes they got more reviews, but they didn't make any money. If they have a series and it was a first book in a series or something like that, it was kind of mixed on how many people saw read through and how many people didn't. So that might be a risk worth taking. They did get a lot of reads on that initial book or downloads and things like that. But if it's a series, maybe if it's a standalone book, most authors I've spoken to have said they got nothing out of it. They would not do it again. So again, it always comes back to your goals as the author or the publisher and what other books you're hoping to sell along with it. And Caroline, no, you do not have to be Kindle exclusive. Kindle daily deals are often offered. Now you can submit your book, of course, you can submit through the KDP dashboard, but big publishers often get Kindle daily deals where it is something that Amazon does and they just discount it on their platform, and you do not have to be Kindle exclusive for a Kindle daily deal. And again, you can submit for it or they may reach out to you and offer it. Eileen is saying her book was released, her last book was released in December of 2020, and she's currently working on her next book. But it will be a while before it's ready for publication. In the meantime, what can I do to keep up sales of my 2 books that have been out for a while? The thing is if you want book sales to continue, you have to keep marketing your books. And so that's it. You have to find new and creative ways, new audiences. I always say our goal as marketing, when you put on your marketing hat as an author or publisher, what you have to constantly be thinking of and doing is finding new readers, because the readers you already have, fantastic. You want to get their email addresses, you want to keep them for your next book launch. But in the meantime, if you want your older backlist books to keep selling, you have to find new readers. Now that could be with Facebook ads, that could be through library pitching or in getting libraries to pick up your book. It could be through TikTok. It could be any number of ways. But if you want new book sales, you have to have new readers. And if you want to make a living out of writing, you have to keep writing. Very rarely, if ever, has an author made a true living off of one book. And those that do, it's like 1 in a million. So the way that people really make a profit is through writing more, is through selling more. Is once you build your audience, you keep giving them content to read so they keep buying and you keep making money off of that one customer. I'm sure most of us have probably heard that it's 10 times as expensive to get a new customer as to keep the one that you have. And that applies to book marketing as well. When you have a customer, whether it be for a series or you do standalones, whatever it is, when you have a customer, if you really get that customer, you get their contact, their email, you can continue selling to that customer. And yeah, you may put some marketing into it. You may put some budget into how you maintain that customer, but typically it's going to be much cheaper and you'll have that consistency through your sales when you get that customer. But in the meantime, you still have to always have new customers coming in. And that usually takes effort and it takes budget. You've got to put yourself out there. Now, sometimes you can do it for free, but that means you're putting your effort in there. Are you learning TikTok? Are you constantly out there at book fairs? Are you doing library chats? Those are the kind of things that will kind of boost your sales. And so you've got to maintain the readership you have by continuing to write while also getting new readers through marketing and promotion and pulling people in. It doesn't have to be hard. Something I found that works very well recently for fiction is a lead-in short story, a standalone book or novel, something that feels pretty complete, that you can really call a book, something that's like 50 pages or more that you can just give away, but it's exclusive to those who sign up for your mailing list, and you just give it away. So you set up a Facebook ad with this giveaway that leads to BookFunnel, and you put it at $1 a day. Not very hard, doesn't cost very much, but it's constantly working to bring you a new readership that you can then market your other books to. That's one idea. It depends again on your genre, what you're writing, and what kind of content you have to work with. If you don't have a lead magnet, go write one. Go make that a side project that you can do. Just keep in mind it needs to be something that anyone can read. We don't want a short story that comes in at your third book if you've got a series, because then you're assuming these people have already read your books and that's why they'd be interested. It has to be something that either comes before your series or can stand alone as a series or a book so that they feel like they've got a value there and they're willing to give their email address for it. So if you want your books to keep selling, you've got to keep marketing them. I wish it wasn't. I wish it was like, okay, I did my big marketing. I did what I was supposed to. Now my book's just going to sell. But that's not how it works. And that is why we often see an increase of old back title sales when our backlist often sells more when we launch a new book. Why? Because maybe you're getting them on that new book and they're reading your old titles. But again, you've got to market something to pull people in. I do not have a training on Goodreads. There is one, Alessandra or maybe has a really great one that she does. Torres, thank you. She has InkersCon. So if you look up InkersCon, you will find that she has a really great Goodreads like webinar that she does. Torres. I should know better. I'm on her mailing list. I should know her name. I'll just look it up here. Excuse me. Here we go. Alessandra. It is Torre, T-O-R-R-E. And she, again, has this Goodreads webinar that is fantastic. And I agree with much of what she says on it. She is on YouTube. I was trying to find her website and make it easy, but I'm getting so many different things for her because she does so many things. But if you look at InkersCon, you will see her for sure. So I'll just pass that up. Excuse me. Once I start coughing, I just can't stop. Oh, Tara's already got it up there because she's awesome. But it's just inkerscon.com and you'll find it. And she's fantastic. I should do one because I do love Goodreads. I think it can be great. Mostly, I've seen it used for fiction and nonfiction, but I personally prefer Goodreads for fiction. I think that's more of the audience there. All right, you guys, let me know if you have any more questions. I think I ran through the email questions. Let me just double check. So if you've got questions live, let me know, and I'll check Facebook as well, because Facebook did work for me today. Yay. All right, nope. Check here. All right. But yeah, I think that right now what's trending with books is certainly kind of trying out different things and promoting social media. Book Talk, as we've talked about, Book Talk is huge, but you really have to be committed to the time of it, to creating content. I get more and more questions about that. Like, is Book Talk worth it? Yeah, for some people it is. I've heard some great stories of people picking up, but it takes consistency. I have not heard yet of one person who was like, yeah, I posted one video, went viral, and made thousands of sales. It's not typically how it's happened. We are seeing more and more people are like, yeah, I played with it for a year and then my one video went viral, and so that was fantastic. I have heard of authors who say they do big Book Talk, TikTok, and have never shown their face, that they do different things. They video different people. They maybe even have their back in there. I don't know, but they've never shown their face, because I get that question a lot. I write under a pen name, or I don't want my face on there, or I don't like how I look on camera. And so there are ways to do Book Talk and TikTok and videos in general around that. I will say that when you do TikTok, you get a lot of content that you can use elsewhere, which is fantastic. But again, it's a time proposition. So if you are doing TikTok, expect to spend some time on there. I think the best TikTok strategy, according to what I have researched, is you need to have a minimum of one video a day. It's preferable that you have 3 to 4 videos per day posting. They don't have to be long. They're typically anywhere from 15 seconds to a minute. They can go up to 3 minutes, but they're not usually that long. But it's just a lot of content. So be prepared for that if you are going to tackle TikTok and trend and see what's following. Some of the best things that I've seen done is people who follow the trends. They see what music is trending, because that seems to really have a thing, and follow those trends and kind of duplicate them and jump on it that way. So I don't know that TikTok is going to go away anytime soon, but I'm also not sure that it will be something that will have really long longevity, because I wonder how or if people will burn out on it. Not maybe watching it sometimes too. I mean, the average person is spending 100 minutes a day, 100 minutes per day watching video online. That's almost 2 hours of us staring at our phones, watching videos and things like that. And I believe it. I believe it. But I do wonder at what point people are going to say, wow, I just lost 2 hours of my life. I'm going to get rid of this or not do that. And maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm old fashioned and everyone else is just like, yeah, I love videos. I'm going to watch it for 2 hours a day. Or maybe that's what you do when you work out. I don't know. But I do wonder at what point, how many hours a day people will watch video before it's like, hey, I need to do something different. And how much time will I put into that, in creating that and all of that? I'm not really sure, but I do wonder. Yeah, and a lot of people say that once people are out and about more, it'll probably go down. And I do think that's why TikTok took off, is because everyone was at home and they're making videos and watching videos and all of that. Yes. And so what you will see a lot, Caroline, is that TikTok is separate from Instagram, but what you're seeing is that a lot of people will take those TikTok videos, they will save them and use them on Instagram and YouTube and Facebook. And that's what I was saying as far as getting a lot of content that you can reuse. And so I don't think people are making individual videos for Instagram and TikTok and all of that. They're kind of sharing them back and forth, but still 100 minutes a day. And will that ever go away? I don't know, because people are also on their phones and computers and screens more than ever too. Kids are on screens more than ever. But I won't get into that topic because that will turn into a rant about kids and devices and screen times. And yes, I'm a mom, and yes, I have kids, and I understand how easy it is to say, here, just do this for a minute, and a minute turns into 100 minutes. But I don't know. Again, that'll turn into a rant, and I guess we don't need a TED Talk today on how we should communicate with each other and get off our devices. All right, you guys, I don't see any new questions coming in. We're about 10 minutes from 11. So if you do have questions, drop them in real quick. I'll give you just a minute to see if you do. Anything about anything, marketing, publishing, writing. I am seeing a lot of people gear up for book launches, which I absolutely love to see. I am talking to a lot of people who are getting their book launches ready early and getting reviews in early, which I adore. I love that I'm seeing more and more authors, and self-published and indie authors in particular. I'm seeing more and more of those authors come into their publishing career with strategy and with an idea behind it. And I just love seeing that because I'm seeing such amazing success. David, when will it get warm again? Not anytime soon. I currently have snowstorming around, and I have an icicle right outside my door. It literally, at the top of my doorway, my icicle is low enough that it's halfway down my door. It is probably 3 feet long. So summer's not coming anytime soon for me, I'm afraid. Oh, we got questions. That's all I need to say. I just need to say, hey guys, we're about to leave, and then you guys pop in all your questions. For an ebook, do you omit the page numbers from the print book table of contents? Typically, yes, you do omit the numbers from your table of contents to your ebook, and you actually hyperlink it to, if you've got a really great ebook designer, what they will often do is they will hyperlink the table of contents to that chapter, to that spot, so it jumps ahead for the reader. And typically, yes, you do omit that. Nancy, how does one get on a good side of Amazon for writing a review? I have no idea why it's banned. So for everyone else, Nancy sent me an email and she said, they're not letting people review my book. Why aren't they letting people review my book? Look at the screenshot of what popped in when I tried to leave a review of the book. And it said, because of suspicious review activity, you cannot write a review. And that is not saying that no one can write a review of your book. It means that you are banned from writing reviews specifically for that book. And what happens is Amazon does not allow you to write reviews from your own book or a book that you've had a hand in publishing. So if you are the editor, if you are the author, if you are the publisher, if you have a strong connection to that book and Amazon has found it in their crazy algorithms and computer knowledge and all the databases they have access to, they will keep you from writing a review on that book because it's against their terms and their agreement terms. So you most likely will be able to write reviews for other things, but you cannot write a review on any book that you have written or had a hand in publishing. So just don't try it. It will get you a slap on your hand. It will mean that you cannot review from your account. It is one of the reasons that I do not leave reviews on books, because my name, my algorithms, all my info is too attached to too many books. And so it would get me slapped on the hand and get my reviews removed, and it just wouldn't be good. So if you have a book that you have written or been a part of writing, releasing, launching, do not write a review on it. on Amazon, it will get you tagged. And there is no appealing that. They just basically say, sorry, don't do it. Let's see. Facebook Live. I used to do them weekly, but ran out of steam. Facebook Lives can be great. I think that kind of like this. When we meet here, you have to kind of have a game plan of what you're talking about, a reason. Facebook Lives need to be at minimum 10 minutes long. Studies actually show this. If you're doing Facebook Live, they need to be at minimum 10 minutes long so that people have time to join them. And if you are doing Facebook Lives regularly, it's best to pick the same day and time to do them so people know when to meet you there. Have something planned to talk about. Make sure that you get on and you chat in the beginning so people have time to join you before you get to the meat of it. Make sure that you've got things to talk about if no one talks to you. You need to be able to kind of have a plan, because sometimes you do end up talking to yourself and people watch the video later. You've got to kind of plan out longer for Facebook Live. And it can work for you. It depends on your audience and if that's where they like to hang out. But have a reason. Review a book. Talk about something specific. You've got to have a reason when you go on Facebook Live. Let's see. Is there a list of Amazon marketplaces that shows the sites not available on KDP? Walt, my brain is not working in the way that you have voiced that question. If you could help me out and reword that question so that my brain can click and I can answer, I'd love to try to answer that for you. Should I do a whole year of writing before querying? Usually I write one, release, and market. I think that it depends on you. Are you writing a series? Are you writing standalone books? Here's the thing though, is that if you are querying, you should never stop writing. You should write, query, back and forth. Just because you're querying, let's say you're going to query for 6 months. Great. While you're querying, write your next book. You have to constantly be bringing new things to the table. Maybe that book's not going to get picked up, but you have another book that's coming up that you can then query. I would recommend that you're always writing. As an author, if you hope to make money as an author, if you hope to make a career out of being an author, you should always be writing, in my opinion. Free barcode generator. Dave Chesson's is not working for me. I do have a video, Pam, on YouTube. Just go to youtube.com/newshelfsbooks and search barcode. You can create your own barcodes using the Ingramspark free template. That's how I make mine. You can make them priced. So that is what I prefer to do. The first time it might take you like 10 minutes. After that, I can whip out a price barcode in a minute flat. So go do it that way. I think Dave Chesson's barcode generator is great. However, if you're having problems with it, you can make your own super easily and it's free. All right. There we go. I lost my cursor because I'm special. All right. I've thought about doing YouTube videos, reading a book or two of mine, maybe to get readers and listeners, etc. You can try that. Absolutely. You can do readings and things like that. Just think about what people want to watch. So it's not enough just to make videos. You have to make videos that people will actually want to watch and that your audience specifically will want to watch. So whenever you're doing things like that, keep that in mind. The reason why TikTok can go so viral with these videos is they're short. They take not a lot of attention span, and typically people are being a little goofy. They're dancing, they're acting things out. So keep that in mind. If you're just sitting there reading, people may not be very interested in that. They just may not. All right, for indie authors, there's a subset of countries where our book will be made available. As to not available, there is an Amazon China, but books by indie authors are not allowed in Amazon China. What Amazon sites prohibit books by indie authors? Got it. You are actually talking about KDP's distribution of books. And I'm sure there is a list on KDP. Thank you for rewording, because again, it was not clicking. It was blank inside. KDP distribution list for Amazon countries. I have the weirdest ways of wording things. All right, ebook distribution rights. Here we go. What are individual territory rights? And where does KDP allow you to do it? So if you use KDP for the Kindle store, you get United States, United Kingdom, Austria, Germany, Switzerland, Luxembourg, France, Monaco, Belgium, Switzerland. You get Andorra and Spain, Italy, San Marino, Vatican City, Switzerland again, Japan, Netherlands, Brazil, Mexico, Canada, India, Australia, New Zealand. These are all current options. So you asked if there is a list of where they are not available at, and I don't think so, but there is a list of where they're available at. It's right on KDP. I'm going to drop that link in. It would help if I didn't send it just to the host, which is me. There we go. I'll put it right in there. So you can find where distribution is available, and that will, then you can kind of see if the places you're looking for are available. And that is a much easier way to do it. All right. I think we've got a couple more questions. Follow up on writing during querying. Does it make sense to write a sequel to the book that hasn't even been picked up yet? Michael, I think that answer lies within you. Know that when you query a book, you may get feedback that changes your story. You may get feedback or changes from the editor that changes your story. Like someone may sign you and say, I love everything about this, but this one character, we've got to change her because she's not very dynamic, or you need some more diversity, whatever it is. And so that may affect what happens in a sequel. So that's up to you. If you feel like you've got a sequel in you and that is what you need to get out there, then write it or start it. But you have to be open-minded to know that when you query, you may be changing parts of your story. Now, again, it's completely up to you. I don't think that writing is ever going to hurt you. It will help you know your characters better. It will help you kind of push that on. So you just have to know it's a bit of a risk. Or you may pick up a different story. Maybe you've written the first book in a series and you've outlined 3 more books. You've got an idea of what the story is going to be, but then you start a new book that's standalone or whatever. Again, I think that's a personal decision. Just know that your story may change and you will have to make changes with it. I think that is something that we have learned as publishers and authors, is that flexibility is the name of the game. When you are writing content to be enjoyed by other people, you have to change it according to the feedback you get. If you write a novel and you have beta readers, even if you're indie published, if you have beta readers and they all hate a character and they're like, I want to put this book down, I want to throw it because I hated that character so much, I couldn't read it. Well, then you've got to be open and flexible to change. And the same goes for when you're querying and that kind of thing. You have to be open to letting your readers lead the story a little bit, because that is, you're not just writing for yourself, you're writing to entertain other people. So in that way, sometimes I do love it kind of that my favorite part of working with authors who are still in the process of writing or finishing, or they have a series. I get to work with quite a few authors who have series and their book's not quite done. And when I read their series and they're like, well, I'm working on the 7th book and I have some ideas, and I'm like, oh, can we make so-and-so and so-and-so fall in love? And also if we could maybe make this guy die or something like that. It is so much fun to me to be able to get input in there and kind of help drive the story. And your readers like to do that too. That is why we get loyalty on series, because we get invested and we want to know what happens. And that's why we follow people on social media, because maybe that person will say, hey guys, I have a poll. Should so-and-so and so-and-so get together? Or should this person and this person get together? Should our hero die? Or should our battle be here or here? And that's why people follow social media, because they want to be a part of writing the story. That is the exciting part of how online connects us to our readers, is that kind of interaction that we get to have. All right, I think I've answered all the questions that just poured in, and it's right after 11 o'clock. So I think we're good for today, guys. If you have follow-up questions, email me, info@newshelves.com. I will answer them next week. We will be here, same time, same place, 10 a.m. Eastern, and we'll see you then. Bye.